Welcome to On the Mic with Shaz. We are back again. The podcast where we flip the script on women in tech leadership and shine a light on the upsides with our special series, Women in Tech Leadership, The Upsides. I'm your host, Sharon Daly. I help build tech careers and for women they actually look forward to on Mondays. And here we talk about what's truly possible when you step into the driver's seat of your career. So each week we get real with women who've done just that, trailblazing leaders who share not just the challenges, but the joys, wins, and freedoms they've unlocked by choosing to lead. So grab a cup and let's dive in. Listeners, today I'm super excited because we're joined by Lise Corcoran, and she has a super cool story from starting out her career as an associate partner in the US all the way through to a client director now in Australia. Let me tell you a little bit about Lise. Okay. Lise is an incredible strategic client director with over 20 years experience managing multi-million-dollar tech accounts across APAC and Europe. With a strong software as a service background, she has a passion for advocating for and empowering women in tech like myself. We bond on this a lot, don't we, Lise?
We do.
We're both part of a Women in AI program to ensure women have a voice in AI. The future of AI needs women's voices, intuition, and fierce bravery to make sure progress is fair, inclusive, and truly transformative for generations to come. Today, we're going to dive into what really lights Lise up about leadership, how she has navigated some of those tricky moments we're all worried about, and most importantly, the upsides we don't talk about enough. Lise, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to get into this with you.
Thank you for having me, Shaz. It's great to be here.
Sweet, sweet. So for our listeners, Lise, so they can get some insights into Lisa's world, okay, what's something you love doing outside of work that most people wouldn't guess?
Probably one of my favorite activities is Pilates, and I do that in a variety of forms, including reformer Pilates,
Oh yeah, I love
mat,
a reformer.
yeah,
Yeah.
mat Pilates, and then my most challenging is aerial Pilates, where
Ooh.
you are basically hanging from a silk that's attached to the ceiling, and is the most physically and mentally challenging, I guess, sport or activity that I do. And I've now got a nice cohort. There's 4 of us in a Saturday morning class.
I love that.
And it's a very great way to start a weekend.
Absolutely. And then when you have somebody like people going with you, it almost gives you that extra kind of, I'll show up because they're showing up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's the coffee and the croissant at the end.
You got to have the reward at the end.
Yeah, yeah, it's more,
Oh,
that's probably the biggest driver.
yeah, I love it because I've done reformer, but I've never heard of the aerial reformer. Now I'm keen. I'm gonna have to check
Very
this out for myself. Alrighty. Now, another little token of Lisa's world. If you had a coffee order of choice, or maybe are you a team tea or a team green juice? What makes it? What kicks off your dailies? What gets you going?
I'm a latte girl. I have been a latte girl for a long time, and I'm the vintage cow milk latte girl. I don't have any other interests in other types of milk. So the latte is a great way for me to start my day, and typically gets me through the mornings, to be honest. And then sometimes I switch to tea.
Latte all day, baby.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love it. Love it. Well, I wish I had the luxury of having cow's milk, but I have no choice. I have to branch over into the other milks because of an allergy, which is just wonderful, you know?
Yeah, I
Um,
know. They're very common these days.
absolutely. So, Lise, let's bring it back now to the world of tech and your journey. What first excited you about stepping into a leadership role in tech? Was there like an aha moment? Was there like a time when you were like, this is for me?
I think it was an evolution, to be honest. Yeah, bit of an evolution. And it was part of the journey in my career, as you mentioned, as a strategic client director. And in one particular role, I was a domestic client director. And then there was even more opportunity outside of ANZ. And so the expansion into Europe and Asia and the US meant I had both direct lines of report as well as indirect lines of report.
Yeah.
And I think having that ability to manage both of those types of resources and individuals involved. And I think what really lit it up for me was realizing there was so much enthusiasm to work with me and to work on a common objective. And so once that was established and, having the global team call with folks scattered around the world, all with agreed agenda and an agreed goal, was a really exciting opportunity for me. And I really enjoyed that role and helping to contribute to everybody's success.
I love that, Lise. I love the word evolution. Powerful. Yeah. Let's
Yeah, I think it
go.
I think it was an evolution as the journey with this particular client continued to grow and had different changes and requirements over the course of time. So it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
really great opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you have that common goal and purpose and everybody's on board, that just lights you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, especially for folks who are part of your virtual global team, they have other responsibilities with other clients. And so the fact that you could convince them to take time and effort and spend their focus on your customer, even though it wasn't their only priority, was a big privilege. And it also meant that I felt I could help contribute to their success.
Love-
And when all of that is working effectively, then it just happens like clockwork.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So that's kind of what got you into it and kind of geared you into that leadership role. So now, what's a small day-to-day moment that just makes you think, "Wow, I love what I get to do."
I think there's two things involved. One is that every day is completely different, and you don't have any repetition. You have different conversations with different people, different customers, partners in your ecosystem every single day. I think that's one really important aspect of it. And then I think the second part is the fact that you're able to control your destiny. You can make it what you want it to be. You can continue training, you can study courses, you can mentor, mentee, coach. There's a variety of ways you can continue to expand, change, grow within the role. And I think that makes it really exciting and probably somewhat unique, especially for women in technology.
I love this, Lise, because I'm chatting with women every day, and they, which is the reason we're talking today as well, is because they are so daunted by leadership. And just what you said there just shows how joyful it can be and what you can do and what you can contribute. And there's so much more layers to it that if we could just take out the intimidation of it and the it's just way over there and impossible. But, these are the little things like day to day, like you have moments where you go, wow, I love that I get to do this. So I would love our listeners to know, here it is.
Absolutely. Make it what you want.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to fit into a box. It can change and transform and morph over time.
absolutely. Speaking of that box, a lot of women do worry about that leadership means less balance and or even more sacrifice. What freedoms or life choices has leadership actually unlocked for you?
So I think for me, one of the pivotal moment for me came when I was a global client director, and there was a meeting being held in London with the organization I was with, and it was for all the global client directors around the world. At the time, I was a parent of a toddler, and I thought, well, I really want to go to this conference because it's going to be fascinating for me. And I want my kid to have some exposure to travel, even though he was quite young. And and so I, called a couple of folks in our London office, and what I was able to do was arrange for care for him during the day while I went to meetings. And it was a fantastic experience because I was able to meet with other peers of mine in different regions, in different countries, to understand how do they do things, what are some of the best practices that we had to share, what those learnings look like, the types of teams we needed to form in order to be really successful. And at the same time, know that my son was being looked after. And it made me realize that you can make these things work. And I think it's also critical to have the support of a great company, great leadership. And what it meant for me was being able to be part of a leadership, global leadership team, and sharing those insights together in person. And then on a personal front, being able to then share some experience of being in another culture with a young child. So that was a fantastic experience for me.
Yay. I was knocked over my mic with excitement, Lise. Well, that just shows, and it's all that perspective and mindset, right? Because say if we come from an environment and an organization that doesn't allow that, and it's very clear that they don't allow that freedom, then you might assume that the next organization or environment or people are going to be similar. And if you carry that assumption, you'll never ask the question, you'll never understand if it's available to you. And what you might realize when you do ask that question is it is very possible to do all of those things where you were able to bring your little boy along on the journey. You can do it. And like you said, just ask for the support along the way. And it is possible, Lise. You're
Yeah,
a prime example.
it absolutely is. And I think it's becoming more and more important in the world that we live in, to be able to have that balance and not to be burdened with, your home life and spending all the time worrying about what's happening at home. And fortunately, in situations like this where you do have that sort of support from corporate side as well, it just means you have happy employees, and that makes it much more effective for the customers that you're working with.
Yeah. And that just makes it a bit more like that much more important to land the right role for yourself, as opposed like that's going to get you the career that can allow you these freedoms. Let's talk about some upsides in disguise then. Yeah. So, has there ever been a challenge that now when you look back actually led to one of the best parts of your career?
Yeah, so, and that's an interesting one because I think there's often challenges along the way, whether it's internal challenges or external customer facing challenges. Interestingly enough, one of the challenge that comes to mind for me was an internal challenge where there was activity going on, and I was, the leader of this team
Yeah.
globally. And there was an employee who was basically uncovered to be doing some questionable things and activities.
Yep. Happened.
And yeah, and it was really concerning, and it involved a lengthy investigation with legal and with HR. And when I found out what had happened, I was really shocked and disappointed, I guess, because here I was thinking that I was working with someone who was a great extension of the team. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But what that led me to realize was how important integrity is in the workplace.
Oh,
When you're
yeah.
working with other human beings, as we all do, it's important to keep those boundaries of integrity and not to ever cross those. And so after that, I realized don't just assume, but be, really dig deep into that aspect. And as I was building a team, making it really clear that that was an important part of being part of that global team.
Yeah.
So I think from there, what ended up happening is the folks that were working with me just were even more incredible. And it was just really delightful to just have a group of individuals who were so dedicated and really clear on some of the key aspects for me that was important for a really well run team.
Isn't that fascinating though, Lise? I love how you have managed to turn that around into such a positive. Like you tapped into a value that just become very apparent again to you in this type of situation. So it's admirable the way you were able to shift into that mode of it and then work around it and bring your team together with this new like this integrity in mind, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's, you're not taught that, you don't go through training. It's something that you just, it's either innate or it's something that becomes more and more important to you. And so that was the case for me.
Yeah. And don't you find as leaders, as we evolve, the values come out of us? That's why we need to check in. Don't you find with ourselves every now and again in our values and make sure we're aligning? Because when that gut feeling starts to come in, it's almost like a reminder, just like or an alarm going off to let us know, hey, you ain't aligning with your values. But if you don't check in enough with your values and you're autopiloting through being this leader and leading your team and you don't tap in, often you can lose sight of it and then it will mentally affect you and physically affect you and you won't realize. So I think we should always listen to that alarm going off in our bodies that's telling us, right, Lise?
Absolutely. And if you ignore it, you'll pay the price, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, it definitely catches up with you.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. Often, Lise, we only hear how hard leadership is, and we see posts everywhere, particularly for women navigating the tech space with it being a traditionally male dominant environment. What's a time is actually more fun or fulfilling than you ever expected?
It is. You're absolutely right. It's definitely a male dominated industry. I mean, there's just no two ways about that. And the data supports that loud and clear. So I think what's really exciting for women, especially, today, is the fact that there's a lot of support and growing awareness of the value that females bring into the workforce, into leadership roles, which includes collaboration, thinking outside the box, understanding values of others, and being able to relate well to other people, which also translates into effective customer management. So I think that it's something that can also be replicated as far as groups of women within organizations, women networks, women in IT, the AI cohort that you and I are part of. All of those types of things are important so that there is an increasing confidence for women to be in technology, to share with each other tales of success, stories of success, techniques, networking, and coming together around a common cause and a common or a really fascinating industry, which is, I think, all of those components are important.
Yeah, and for men and women to just work equally and harmoniously in the tech sector together. Like, how about that?
And I think, again, that comes a little bit, being mindful of the organization that you're working with and how open minded they are to that and support that is provided. So I think it does take a little bit of work and homework to ensure that where you're working is the right place for you,
Yeah.
A, and then B, that there is that open-mindedness and the collaboration that can occur.
Yeah. I was speaking to someone recently where we were talking about coming back to a mindset scenario of coming to meetings with good faith. So where men and women are rocking up to a meeting together and just come with good faith in each other and thinking the best of each other and just collaborate on the vision, the mission that you're all on together and forget everything else,
Yeah,
you know?
that's the most important thing.
Yeah, pull away the
And having,
intensity, enjoy, bring back the joy, and have a laugh together, and just enjoy it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and not take it too seriously.
yeah, because our professional place, like workplace, is our second home, essentially. You know, we spend a lot of time, whether it's virtual or in person, like when you go into the office, or whether you're working from home, it's still a part of your world, essentially. And why not enjoy it? Why not all collaborate? Like we tend to lean on trying to make it so complicated. And, it can just be a laugh. Like we can all just help each other out, you know? Hey Shaz, how about covering me in this meeting? Sure, John. Like, hey John, do you mind covering me in this meeting? Da, da, da. Just easy. Yes, why can't it just be like that? No?
And there's a lot of intention to get to be there, to be. I think that's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, it's lovely to see. And we're definitely getting closer and on the right path to it. So let's keep on trudging on and backing each other and supporting each other. Lise, overall in your career, what's the most surprising upside you've discovered on your leadership journey in tech?
The most surprising
Upside.
upside.
Upside. Yeah.
I think for me, the most exciting upside goes back a little bit to what I remarked about earlier, which is that every day is different, that you are able to manage your career and your career trajectory. And probably for me, one of the most interesting things, which is a great upside, was having the opportunity to work across geographical boundaries, working and living in different countries, having the ability to travel extensively in different roles, having the opportunity to transfer from one continent to the other. And I think part of that is how you want to manage your career and dictate a path in your career and how you want to develop your skills and experience,
Yeah.
and be able to position that most effectively with your organization. What's the in it for them? Why would they do that for you? And being able to develop that trust and credibility with your organization while at the same time managing and mapping your career journey. And if that's something that's important to you and you feel like having a different experience in a different culture in a different country is important, then you make that known to your organization, and be able to help co-create with your management team what that career path is going to look like. For folks thinking, do I want to travel? Do I want to experience different cultures? How would I do that? Then technology, in my experience, has been a great way for that to actually manifest in my career.
I love that, Lise. I bet there's some listeners out there, right? And I'm on to you. I bet they're sitting there thinking, yeah, but she says there's challenges every day and no day is the same, but I want safe and I want comfort and I want to understand my routine every day so that I'm prepared and there's no uncertainties. But I guess, Lise, what you just gave there was some advice of there's such growth and happiness and joy in those uncertainties, in it not being so set out every day and having that those different challenges. You grow as a person. Whereas if you stay safe in those little routines, listeners, I'm talking to you, because I bet you're listening in thinking, oh, but that's for somebody like Lise. That's not for me. I can't do challenges every day. I can't come out of my comfort zone. Yes, you can. And Lise has just told you why.
Exactly. Well, I'm a big believer in taking on new challenges, and sometimes you have to take risks as well. But it's more often than not that the risks pay off in the longer term.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Lise, this has been an absolutely spectacular conversation. Thank you so much for sharing not just the challenges, but also the reasons it's all worth it. The growth, the impact, and those unexpected joys that you shared with us as well. So thanks, Lise.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for having me today, Shaz.
Of course. And for all of you listening, I hope this has helped you to see just how many upsides there are when women like us step into leadership roles in tech. If this resonated, please share it with other women in tech who need to hear these stories. And don't forget to subscribe so you can catch our next episode. We've got more incredible guests lined up, and I can't wait to share their journeys with you. Until next time, keep pushing for the change you want to see and know you absolutely deserve a seat at the table. See you next time.